Welcome back to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful 3D cutouts with our Ankara fabric. So you can use any patterned fabric of your choice for this, and this tutorial is very beautiful as we have seen, and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this 3D pattern, you need to have your Ankara fabric or whatever fabric you're working with, and you make sure that you get fabric that has nice patterns depending on what you want to work with. There are several patterns that you can get, just like we have this in form of a round flower shape. You can get some in leaf shape, triangle, whatever design that you have in mind. So once you have your pattern like this, the next thing is to cut around your pattern. Okay, remember this is a full fabric, so you need to cut around it so that I can have something smaller to work with. As you can see, I have several patterns of this. I have this smaller one, then the next one, and this biggest one. So I'm going to be working with this biggest one. You can also mix it if that is what you want. So what I'm going to do now is just to try to cut around it, because I don't want to waste my interfacing. So if you have enough interfacing, you can just add it to the fabric before cutting, but because I don't want to waste mine, so I'm just going to cut out the piece that I need. Okay, so you can see how I am removing that part that I want to work with. At the same time, I don't want to destroy the other patterns that I have, because they may come useful for another design that you may want to do. So this is how I'm going to bring out the pattern that I'm working with actually. So I'll do this now and cut like 3 or 4 so that I can continue working. So now I have cut out the patterns that I'm going to work with. The next thing now is to bring in my interfacing and then add it behind the patterns. So now it depends on how you want to place your pattern and where you want to place it. So the way I'm placing it is going to be placed on the chest line area, and the other side is going to be obvious as well. So I intend to use this same pattern as my lining, but if you are sticking it to maybe the waistline or anywhere that there's tendency for the back of the pattern not to show, you can just use a plain fabric that has a matching color with this as your lining. You don't have to use the same pattern as your lining, even if it's going to show and you're comfortable with having something different on the other side. But for me, I'm going to use this same pattern as my lining, so I have 2 of each to make up 1. And as you can see, I have several sizes here so that I can see how I can just mix them up so that it can give me something beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and fuse this interfacing to my pattern. Okay, so I have cut it out now, and then you can see that it's looking stronger and stiffer because of the interfacing that we have there. So now to fuse the lining and the main fabric together, I'm going to be using my hemming gum. Okay, so this is a gum that melts when anything hot comes in contact with it. So I'm going to look for the patterns that have the same size. Okay, you can separate them. You look for the ones that their sizes are the same. One is going to be the main fabric, while the other one is going to act as my lining. So I'm just going to arrange them like this, and then I'm going to fuse them together with my hemming gum. Okay, so you have to be very careful. You can see that these are similar, but this is smaller than this. So after arranging everything together like this, we'll start fusing them. So to fuse it, you can try as much as possible to assemble it so that you have something similar on both sides, so that when you're cutting it, it's going to be easy for you. But if you can't, especially if your pattern is difficult, just make sure that you follow the pattern of the one that is going to be facing you. That's the main fabric. Okay, and then you have enough fabric on the other side as well, so that it's not going to be bare. So now after arranging it, you're going to bring in your hemming gum, and then you just place it on it and arrange carefully. So now when I'm placing my hemming glue, I'll make sure that I don't have any spaces in between. Okay, you can even double it so that it will give you something stronger, a stronger effect. So you can see how I am cutting it and then placing it. Because it's white, we may not be able to see it well. So once you have filled up all of the spaces that you have, you're going to place your main bodice, your main pattern, you're going to place it on top of it, and then you go ahead and iron it. Okay, so once you iron it, the hemming glue is going to melt and then fuse the both of them together. Okay, so they are all fused together now, as you can see, and then the hemming gum is just going to make them stick. Like I said, you can double it for stronger effect. So the next thing now is to trace out the pattern that we have. So there are several ways you can trace out your pattern. You can just bring in your scissors and then carefully cut around the shape that you have. Okay, so you can use your scissors. You can see the way I'm cutting it. Okay, I'm just going to cut out around the scissors. You can use your scissors or you use your soldering iron, which is what I'm going to use. So now if you're working with a fabric that is of good quality, that does not frill, okay, you can just use your scissors. The hemming gum and the interfacing that you already fixed to the Ankara can seal the edges of the Ankara well for you. But this fabric that I'm working with is a small Ankara fabric, so I don't want it to keep frailing. That is how I'm going to use my soldering iron to trace it out, so that as it is tracing it out, is also going to burn the edges and seal for me. So if you don't have a soldering iron, you can just cut around it like this with your scissors, and then you just light maybe a candle or a lighter, and then you just dab it around these edges so that it can also seal it for you as well. So you can see how I am just tracing out this pattern that I have. Okay, this is a bit tedious because mine has small pattern. So there are some patterns that are just round that you can just cut around them easily, but you can see the zigzag effect that I have on mine. That is why I'm taking my time to make sure that I get this right, and then I bring out every pattern that is on this Ankara fabric. So this is how you're going to keep tracing it till you're done with your cotton. Okay, so I thought the camera was recording while I was tracing them out. So when you are working with your soldering iron, you hold this at this part, you don't touch this very hot part, and you make sure that your soldering iron is very hot, and then you use it to trace all the edges that you are cutting. So like I said, if you feel that you are not that perfect, all you just need to do, once the iron is hot, as you are tracing it, it will be cutting it off and it will be sealing the edges for you. So if you are not that perfect to do that, what you can do is just to cut with your scissors like I did, and then you raise it up now, and then try to burn the edges with your already hot soldering iron. And like I said, if you don't have your soldering iron, you can just manage to use a lighter, but just make sure that you don't burn your clothes in the process. So now after having it like this, you can decide to take it to the sewing machine and then trace the edges using a matching color of thread, or you use an invisible thread. Just make sure you do a very neat work. But if you doubled your hemming gum and then you ironed it very well, it does not have a tendency to break apart. Now this is what the patterns look like. The next thing is for you to decide on how you want to arrange or place them. So you can see, so you can actually arrange them anyhow you want. It can be on your shoulder area, it can be on your waistline, it can be on the knee, it can be on a friard, it can be anywhere you want basically. So I'll just take this to the mannequin to do full arrangements and see how beautiful this really looks. Okay, as you can see, the pattern is arranged now, and you can see that it is arranged towards the shoulder area. So you can actually arrange this anyhow you want. It can be on your chest line just like I have it here, or it can be on the bodies of your outfit. I hope you enjoyed making this simple tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. And you can tack this. Actually, you can either tack it, you can apply a gum, but I prefer tacking. So you make sure you tack it neatly where it's not going to be too obvious that you tagged it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.